Hey everyone, it's David here from Surplus Fund. In this video, I'm going to talk to you. So this is a check that I recently received in my mailbox when I went in. And it's really cool. When I walked in and I see this envelope, I know that I'm going to have a check. And I've been fortunate to receive a few of these checks from the Unclaimed Property Fund in this particular state. And it's nice because when you walk into your mailbox, you don't know if you're going to get a check or not. This check that I got, and even though it's dated in the end of 2021, I actually received it in February of 2022. And I think it was because of the way the mail got forwarded and there was a problem with that, which is a whole nother story. But it is so cool when you can walk into your mailbox and you're waiting for these checks. And this is issued to my corporation. And it is a check I got from an unclaimed fund by calling somebody and letting them know that they had $29,000. Actually, it would have been $29,426.30 is what this one would have been. And I got 10% of that. So really cool that I got that, and literally I'm calling someone and I'm saying, hey, did you know that you have this money? Did you know that it was in the fund? Would you like to go ahead? And I'm going to explain how I got this one. I actually got this one through a method of scaling. I have about 4 or 5 more of these coming, and this was one of my scale checks that I got, and I did very little work for it, and these are coming. Okay, but do me a favor, before I get into a lot of story here and telling you how I got this or what's going on, if you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click the subscription link below. I would love for you to be one of my lucky winners. Also, go and click the notification link because I do give out prizes. I do live YouTube video, calling events and things like that because I like to be able to educate. Even if you do nothing but watch my YouTube video alone, I would like you to be able to get educated on how to be able to have a business that you could start, that you could be working. And quite a few people that I've crossed have done this by watching my YouTube channel. So yeah, it's like I said, I walked into my mailbox and I saw this and I thought, okay, this should be a pretty decent one. This is one of the higher ones I've gotten from the state, if not the highest. So I have a few coming. Actually, I have 2 or 3 more coming that are higher than this. And I have one, I believe, for $3,300 coming. I have another one, I believe, I'd have to look at my notes. I believe it's in the $4,000 range. But this one could be rounded up to almost $3,000. Now, if you got one of these a month, that would be just about $36,000 a year. If you got 2 of these a month, now you're at $6,000 a month. That would be at $72,000 a year pre-tax. Now, there is some expenses that you do have. You do have to, like I offer to provide the notary because it goes ahead. Like the guy in this check, it took me a while to get him to sign the forms. Then he signs it. Then he has to get the notary. And my notary had a hard time getting a hold of him. And she's like, hey, let's just go and get this done. Let's go to move forward. And he did. And we got it in and we got everything we needed to the state. You do have to motivate people. I mean, he knew these funds were there. And he's like, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. And it's like, no, let us help you. Let us go ahead and jump in and help you here. Let us be able to help you get this done and let's move. So you have to be an action taker. In fact, even today, I have another one for $3,300 and it's ready to be delivered. The state's calling up and asking for information if they had or emailing me. So I'm going to call them up and say, hey, I've given you this information. It's not, you do have to be proactive in the business. Okay. So I'm going to tell you that right now. I had a VA that called and let the person know that they have these funds. And I've had to train this VA. It's nice because then the VA goes ahead and they give me the lead and then I go and I follow up with there. Now, some people try to go ahead and do that without knowing the business. And I would advise you against that because there's just so many different rules and regulations that you have to know your business. And I know I've said things like this before, but like right now, I had a situation in California where the funds are going to a stepchild that had no blood relation at all. Both parents are deceased. It would have gone to his birth mother, who was married to his stepdad. There's no other living relatives that are except for brothers of his, and they're sore that he's getting it, but he's getting this Roth IRA that's in the $40,000 range. It's one of the ones that I'm waiting for, or $33,000 range, and that's one of the ones I'm waiting for. And I say that because there's one in Texas where one of the people in Warriors had asked me, what's the protocol here? And I told him what I was dealing with in California, which I've dealt with this before. I said, double check with the state. So sure enough, they called the state and they found out that this one in Texas had to go to a blood relative, which is really weird. And it was a very similar situation. So each area is different. So you have people that are helping you work on these. You have people that are assisting you on these. and you've never done it yourself, you're going to get questions that you're not going to be able to answer, and you have to know how to be able to answer them. Now, I still get questions that I don't know how to answer, and keep in mind, tax overages is my specialty, and I work a lot of tax overages, and I don't throw up every deal I have. I don't throw up every single check I have. I just occasionally throw up a couple, and I show you guys just so that you know what's happening in the business. But let's go to whatever you want to work. So California, for an example, or whatever state you want to work, you learn the protocols, you learn the rules, you learn the script, you learn how to be able to take the call and handle the calls and be able to work the rules of your state. Okay, that's and you learn how to be able to go out and get checks like this. Now, I said that I was going to give you 3 steps here. So step number 1 is the state could be very difficult. And again, like I said, I haven't done a whole lot of these, but I would start off small, like even if you almost work for free on your first one and do 2 or 3 like that, learn the system, learn how it works. And if you get paid a couple $100, and some of these checks are probably worth a couple $100 if I went through and counted every single one that I've got. I have a lot more coming that are like in the thousands. And again, I have someone working for me, and I've been able to develop a system, get a few small deals, let people know they have money. If you don't know how to do that, go back and look at some of my earlier videos. I give plenty of videos on script. In fact, every last Monday of the month, I do what's called a live cold call. Sometimes it has to get postponed, but I will do live cold calling where I call people to let them know that they have funds, because you're going to get everything. In fact, last week when I called, I got a hold of a woman who said, I was trying to find a relative of somebody, and she said, well, I'm a lawyer. I'm going to do it myself without you. And you know what I said? I said, thank you. And she was very, very temperamental with me, but I would rather have someone say, I'm not going to work with you, than somebody who just says, oh yeah, okay, and not get the contracts back, and you're following up with them. But really, start off small. Get a small deal, listen to some of my phone calls, listen to how I do it, jump on my YouTube channel. Like I said, subscribe if you haven't. I do give a lot of advice here. I've had person after person tell me, hey, I've watched your YouTube channel and I got started, or I did this and got started. And I love that, because I want this to be where anyone could watch my channel and learn how to do this business. Okay. The second thing, and this is one of the key factors, is you've got to treat this like $1 million business. If I had gotten this $2,942 check and 63 cents, if you want to be technical, if I had gotten this on the first call, it would have been great. But what I had to do with this person is I had to call, and I had to call again, and I had to call again, and I had to really work on getting these contracts back. Probably about an hour's worth of my time, maybe a little bit more. So I've never had a job that pays me almost $3,000 an hour until I started working for myself. And again, keep in mind, there's plenty of other deals I've called that I haven't gotten and I'm still working on and still trying to do. But if you took an hour of your day and you focused on your business, you're going to start seeing results. You're going to have failure. It's going to happen. And whatever job I've worked at, I guarantee you I had failing moments, which led me into my most growing moments. And it was interesting because when I was teaching, and I'm getting into a lot of story here, so I apologize for that. I know you guys never hear me do that. I'm kidding. But when I was teaching, I was working on my master's. I took a position for UCLA Extension. I started teaching for them. I loved it. I was teaching teachers how to teach math, and it was more collaborating and working with people, and it was awesome, and I loved it. When 2009 hit and all the budget crisis and everything hit, that position ended. And I kind of just stayed in the classroom. And what I found is I thought I was growing, and I really wasn't. I was kind of in this stagnant spot in my life, not growing at all. I really wasn't learning. And I really realized years later, like I went for a job interview, and one of the questions was, what have you done lately to grow and further your education? It's like, wow, what a great question. If they'd asked me that 4 or 5 years earlier, I would have had like a million answers, and I didn't have one then. And it was like, wow, I was stagnant. And I say that because there's a lot of times where I've looked back and it's like, okay, and that was a moment of failure because I was in a job interview and I didn't have I didn't have an answer for that question, okay? And I love what I do now. I love teaching. I loved all my past students, even the good, the bad ones, and the ugly, and everything in between. When I say the ugly, I mean the situations in the classroom. It's just I was ready to move on. I was not in agreement with the direction that we were going, and I needed to move on, okay? But there's a lot of times I'd go up and I'd give a technology lesson, and it could have been better. The ways systems work and stuff, and you constantly get better and you learn from failure. In this business, it's not like you're going to call up the first person and say, hey, do you know that you have $29,000 in unclaimed funds? They're going to say, really? I don't know you. I trust you. Your script's perfect. Let's do the deal. Here's the signature. But if you learn how to call people and say, hey, I'm calling John Smith. John, did you know that there was a bank account at 123 Main Street? And this guy was like yeah, I was aware of this and I just haven't done it. It's like, cool. Can we work with you with your permission? We'll get 10%. We'll set up all the paperwork. Here's what we need. And he got us everything we needed. And we worked. Does everybody do that? Absolutely not. Now, I talk a lot about a situation. I've got several of these in Warriors, but there's a guy who recently did a $30,000 deal. I actually talked to him on the phone the other night because he had another deal that he's gotten some information on. But his first deal was for $30-something thousand. It was a tax overage. He was doing what I did. I told him to start off small. He was very excited. His notary did not get the signature. Stamped it, did everything, verified the identity, did not get the guy to sign. I told him I thought he should have gone after this notary financially because it cost him almost $10,000. He had $9,000 something. It's very painful when you have that. In fact, to me, $3,000 is a lot of money. It's like, wow, I'm going to use this. I'm going to do some business work with it, get some things paid up and continue with VA, things like that. But $3,000, it's good money, and literally $36,000 pre-tax a year. I guarantee you, anyone listening to this video right now could use $36,000 more dollars a year. But start off small, treat it like $1 million business. That means it's not every single call is going to go your way. You're going to get some real pains and what have you. In teaching, okay, at the school I was at, and God bless every teacher and everything where I was at, none of the teachers were in my department were in agreement with what we were being asked to teach and the way we were being asked to teach it. We were constantly having to go early morning math meetings. We were constantly having to go to district meetings, before meetings, after school meetings. Then you have parent conferences. Then you have lunch. Then you have before and after school events. And people say, oh, teachers, they have it easy. They work like a 9-to-5 job. The one thing I miss about teaching was I had excellent benefits. The benefits were unbelievable and the best out there. I think teachers have that. But teachers I've talked to since I've stepped out, like the last one I talked to, he was telling me how miserable he was waiting for 10 years where he could retire. I just got 10 more years. And I'm like, wow. It's like you're on this treadmill and you can't get off of it. And I say that because how many miserable experiences do you have teaching? When you're making phone calls on these surplus fund deals and you're trying to get them, or these state overages, and we teach everything here. We do bankruptcy unclaimed funds, we do state unclaimed funds, we do tax overages, and we do mortgage overages. My least experience is in bankruptcy, but I have plenty of people in the program that have done very well with it. My most experience is with tax overages. But I say this because you're going to have points where you're going to experience failure. But if you could get this going where you get 2 of these a month, and trust me, there's hundreds of thousands of these out there in states, and going to a state that's right for you. It might be California, it might be a different state. Picking this and treating it like $1 million business, that means making calls. Last Monday on my cold calling session, I did not get a yes at all. I had a call back from a guy, and this one will be $1,100, small payout, about a little less than half of this. A guy called me and he just said it was actually something more like $15,000, so it'd be a $1,500 payout. A son called me and said, hey, can we move forward? And he's called me back a couple times, which whenever you have someone calling you back, you always want to stay in touch with them, and that's awesome. And him and I are in the process of connecting. I'm getting him what he needs for his dad's estate. His dad is deceased, and he's going forward with the claim, which is awesome. And I have to do a few extra forms, but nothing that bad for that. And I love dealing with people. So I went an hour of calling people on last Monday. I apologized at the end of the call. I'm like, guys, I'm sorry I didn't get anything. About an hour later, my phone rings, and the guy's like, hey, David, yes. And again, sometimes they know about this. So I have a woman who tells me off in the beginning, says, I'll work on this on my own. I don't need you. And it's like, I would rather have someone say that than tell me yeah, and then lead me on, and I'm following up, and they never come through. So you're going to get everything in between here, okay? The third one, and this kind of goes in with what I'm just talking about right now, is consistency. Okay, you have to keep on working on these funds. I would say put an hour a day on it. You're going to see results. 30 is my magic number. If you call 30 people, you should have between 3 to 6 deals. So literally and I was just making phone calls, and I was calling 5 or 6 people in that hour. So literally I'm calling about 30 people a week. If I do that, I'm getting 2 or 3 deals if I do this. And again, I don't do as much cold calling as I used to. I've got more systems in place where people are working these systems for me. But you got to be working these claims. You got to be doing these, and you've got to be treating this like $1 million business. So again, number one is start off small. Call some claims that are only going to pay you a couple $100. Your competition's almost not out there. Get 2 or 3 of those under contract. Get them paid, and then start going for the higher ones. Number 2 is treat this like $1 million business. And I say that all the time. And it's scary because I work for myself. I talked about the benefits. Trust me, right now, financially, I'm doing a lot better than I was in the classroom, and I'm paying for my wife and I to have medical. Our kids have a special program, but my wife and I pay for us to have medical every single month, and it's not cheap. I pay for my retirement every single month, and it's not cheap. I'm still doing better than I was in the classroom, okay? But you've got to treat it like $1 million business. The third one is you want to have consistency. Always make sure that you're consistent. That means if you come in and you just call, and I've had people call and they get their first deal, like I talked about the $30,000 guy, I've had people paid out on that. But start off with consistency with the small and work your way up and keep on consistent. Even if you keep on experiencing failure, ask yourself why. Really look at your script. Role play with someone who's business oriented. Really try to grow, work through that. Get out some really good books. If you really want one of my favorite books, it's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. One of my favorite, and they didn't have it on Audible. I don't know if they still do or not. One of the best books that I've ever read of all time. A lot of good books on Audible. The Miracle Morning, that's pretty good. Start reading books every single day. Role playing with people that you know and friends that you know. Really getting that script down. You're going to do fine on this. You're going to do very well. Hey everyone, do me a favor. If you're not subscribed to my channel, again, go and click the subscription down below. Click the notification link. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.